Hello and welcome to my continuation of lesson 4, I think, on Act 2, Scene 3. So we just watched Maria plot revenge with Tony and Sir Andrew. So what's prepared us for this scene, I would say, this doesn't sound very imaginative, the scene before you have seen Malvolio accuse Maria. More might say also Malvolio, reprimand Sir Toby, and most people concentrate on this bit. He's reprimanded Sir Toby. He's stepped out of line. He's stepped out of his place in the social hierarchy, and now Sir Toby wants revenge. So that's prepared us for this. And then this prepares us for the whole revenge on Malvolio, the what would you call it, hiding in the bush scene, the letter and the madness later on, and all the revenge on Malvolio is what's coming from this. So that's what's prepared us. That's what's prepared us there. And then this is the rest of it. It's further developing. You notice I've changed my style again. First, developing the character of Maria as well. And I'm going to talk about her as, this is my thing. I've not read about this very much, so I'm a bit careful. As a female feste, or an unusually powerful woman for her class and her time. So obviously I've gone on to gender right there. So there's what it's preparing us for, what it's come for, and that it's developing the character of Maria. I'm going to talk about lots of that doesn't go anywhere. I'm just adding it. Comic plotting. This is this is a feature of comedy. So plotting and those sorts of ideas. I'm just looking, has it been called anything else? Not really. That's my main thing. Comic plotting. And I'm also, for comedy, that is, apart from the lines within it that I might be able to talk about. And I'm also going to talk about, am I going to talk about dramatic setting? I might talk about the setting in terms of it being in Olivia's castle, in her court. Sort of below stairs, in the middle of the night, drunkenness. We've got a lot of 12th night features there. Almost a green world, some might say. So compared to Orsino's court, with him giving orders, we have this very much more fluid world of Olivia. So I might write about the setting there, and I might talk about the chaotic, as part of that, this chaotic sort of tone of, first of all, Malvolio stepping out of his place, and then the maid taking over. So Toby, who's meant to be respectable, is the biggest drunkard of all. Everything there is chaotic. So those are the other areas I'm going to talk about. Gender is a comedy thing, isn't it? So challenging gender assumptions and swapping gender and that sort of thing is definitely part of comedy. Not in this particular way, though, I don't think, the way Maria takes over here. Not particularly that. That's the plan I've come up with so far. I'm not very happy with it, but I don't want to force things that aren't there. So to have a look at the actual passage a bit more. Can you see it? I'm going to put my finger at the top. not quite. Oh no, I've got some technical issues involving a selfie stick. So, yes, here we go. Immediately before this scene, the bit that we didn't really, I read to you on Spark Notes, but we didn't really look at, Malvolio has upset Sir Toby by reprimanding him, and also Maria by saying it's all her fault and he's going to tell Olivia. And after that, when he left, Sir Andrew and Sir Toby said, right, we're going to make a plan. We're going to challenge him to a duel. Well, Sir Andrew's going to challenge him to a duel and then not turn up. And that'll teach him. And Sir Toby says, right, I'll go and write it down. They had that plan, but Maria took over and said, no, I'm thinking of a better plan. I'm thinking of it. So she is the master of comedy, I would say here, the fool, although obviously in this case, mistress of comedy. And we have her criticisms of him, that he's a kind of Puritan. So at this point, Puritan... Oh dear, I've dropped my pen, hold on. I hope you don't feel sick. Sorry about this. Hold on, let me get back. I can see Puritan. Yeah, this word Puritan is an insult, and it means purist. And Spark Notes translated it as a goody-goody. So someone who's very pure about their religion. So... someone who's very religiously fervent, but it hasn't really come into popular usage yet. Sir Andrew joins in, trying to join in here. If I thought that, I'd beat him like a dog. And Sir Toby picks him up on him. What do you mean? What would your reason be for actually, these sort of religious people that are around, it's a new sort of thing, these... I always think of Brexiteers, I don't know why. Sir Andrew has to admit, I haven't actually got a reason for it. So it's like he's trying to join in the conversation and not quite managing it. And he just says it's very vague, but I have reason good enough. Maria then describes the character. Now, so this could be more on the comic villain, really. I'll just add that to my plan, comic villain. Pretend I thought about that before. That's on the plan underneath. The devil, a Puritan that he is, or anything constantly, but a time pleaser. He's not religiously back to basics. He's not a religious fundamental. There's nothing religious about him at all. He's a time pleaser. He's just someone who's trying to get on. An affectioned ass that... appears to know what things are going on about it and certainly talks a lot about it. So this affectioned us means unaffected, he just acts the way he thinks he ought to act. So these are quite... So he's not as good as a Puritan, who's someone who actually believes in something, but that he's just trying to get on and he's got no conscience and no thoughts or anything. So he is, or it's his grounds of faith. So he actually believes that everyone that looks on him loves him. And that is how I'm going to get revenge on him, because I know that. He can't believe anyone doesn't like him, and that's going to let me in for my revenge. So this line here, on that vice in him will my revenge find notable cause to work. That's Maria being quite clever psychologically. I know how to get through to him because I know his sort of Achilles heel. I've written here. So we're in the comic subplot, really. We've got which you can tell by the fact it's in prose. It's not in verse. Compare it to when you get the scenes with Orsino, that's in very standard verse. This is on a much lower level. It's the servant plotting an intrigue. Although Sir Toby isn't a servant. Sir Andrew Agueshik isn't a servant. It's a bit more mixed up than that. Part of the chaos of the play. So she's been clever psychologically, and he says, what will you do? So she's taken over here. Look at the end of her speeches. He just asks her this simple question. She's in control. She can work out what to do here. And I'm claiming that in itself is an unusual... a topsy-turvy world, a challenge to gender here. And all this plotting and planning is comedy. But in this case, it's the maid, high up maid, but still the maid that's doing it. So he's playing with that a bit and challenging gender boundaries through this plotting and planning. So then we have the plan. So I'll drop in his way some letters that are hard to read of love. And then she goes through the colour of his beard, the shape of his leg, the way he walks. This is standard love poetry ideas. It's usually for a woman though. So the stuff that Olivia said about herself having two lids on her eyes and lovely mouth. So here, that's a bit more satire, tiny bit in there. And then there's a big gap here in the Globe production. So I'm going to drop this letter. Oh, I do apologise. He's going to think it's from Olivia. So excellent. I smell a device. This is all he's got to say. It's all been, I keep saying the same point, so that's enough. All the plotting and planning is actually Maria is the intelligence behind it. Oh, I hope I can stop coughing, sorry. So Andrew Aguchi trying to join in again, not much of a point about him. He shall think by the letters you will drop, they come from my niece and that she's in love with him. All he can do is sort of repeat the plot in his own words. And oh, this is the bit. My purpose is indeed a horse of that colour, that's what I meant. And your horse would now make him an ass. Which is quite nice, a joke from Sir Andrew trying to join in the humour, but she sort of gets the better of him and says, ass, i.e. Sir Andrew, you're an ass. I think you're right. It's sort of as I doubt not, as in it's a play on ass and as I doubt not. I think you're right. But she somehow manages to call him an ass at the same time, which he doesn't realise. So you could have that as an example of her getting the better of Sir Andrew linguistically. So she's able to pick up on his joke and make him look ridiculous, calling him an ass. So you have the wordplay and the banter of comedy. Again, that this woman gets an upper hand. Things aren't quite the way they normally are. What have I got over here? Oops, you can't see. There it is. Sorry. There it is. So, and then we get more. I'll plant you two and let the fool make a third. So she's in charge again. And her exit as the person who's controlled everything. Almost like a female Feste, setting up the humour in the play, setting up the comic action. And that's what this scene's very important for, setting up the comic action. And in the Globe production, she has a kiss with Toby on. He's so impressed with this that she has a kiss with Toby on. I haven't seen that in any other productions, but you can write about the Globe production. Toby's completely in awe with her and thinks she's marvellous. I don't think I've put this enough here, so I'm just going to pretend I did have it in here. So it prepares us up. Oh yeah, it triggers off, even more triggering off, the comic action. I had that there all along, okay? We'll get the letter and the madness. And a bit of a description of Malvolio and the discussion of him as not as good